Okay, hi everyone, welcome back to my English journey. And today we will practice shadowing with the new video from listening time. So let's start.
Welcome to this
Welcome
A2
to
English
A2
listening
English
practice
listening
video.
practice
You can
video.
use this
You can
video
use
to
this video
practice
to
your
practice your
listening and
listening and
comprehension as I
comprehension
speak.
as I speak.
Before we
Before
start,
we
remember
start,
to download the Listening
read
Time
downloads of
podcast. And
podcast,
if you want
and
my
if you want my
specialized training to
specialized
help
training
you
to help you
understand native
understand
speakers,
native
then
speaker,
become a
you
Listening
come a
Time
listening
member.
time
And if
member.
you want my
And if you want
advanced
my
podcast
advanced podcast
episodes, then become a
episode,
Listening
you
Time
can become
family
listening
member.
family.
Okay, today we're going to
Okay,
talk about
we're going to talk
names.
about the
This is a
names.
fun
This is a
topic to
fun
talk
topic to
about,
talk about,
especially with people
especially
from
when people
different
from different
countries. There
countries.
are many
There are
different
many
types of
different types
naming
of
customs
naming
around the
customs
world.
around the world.
So let's
So
talk a
let's
little
talk
bit
about a little
about
bit
names
about
in the
names
US.
in the
Americans
US.
usually have three
Americans
names,
usually
which we
have
call
a
the
three
first
names,
name,
which
middle
we
name, and last
call
name.
first name,
When
middle,
people get
last name.
married, the
People get
wife
married.
usually takes
The
her
wife
husband's last
usually
name,
takes
and
husband,
then if they
and
have
then if you
kids,
have
their
kids,
children take
their
the father's
children
last
take
name.
their
One
father's
thing that I
last
want
name.
to
One
note
thing
is
I
that
want
there
to
are
know
tons and tons
is
of different names
tons
in
of
the
times
US.
different.
Obviously, every country
Obviously,
has a
every
wide
country has
variety of
wide
names, but it
very,
seems like
but
in the
seems like
US there
the
are even
US
more
there are
names.
more.
Of course, there
Of
are
course,
many
there are many
traditional names
traditional
that have
names
been used in
that
English
have
for
been
many
used in
centuries,
English,
and there are
and there
many
are many
biblical names that
people
people
who
give
names
their
people
children.
give their
But
children.
there are
But
also
there are also
many non-traditional
many
names that people give
non-traditional
their
names that
children.
people give
These
their
names
children.
might come
These
from other
names might come
languages,
from other
or they might
languages,
be
may come
variations of existing
variations,
names,
except
or they might be
names.
names
They
that the
might be
parents
names that
invented. Parents
we
can get
invented.
very
Parents can
creative
be
with
very
children's
creative with
names
their children's
nowadays.
names
Let me talk a
nowadays.
little bit
Let's
about
talk
naming
about a bit
customs
naming
in
custom
Mexico,
in
where I
Mexico,
live.
where I
Here,
live.
people have a
Here, people
first and
have
a middle
first and
name,
middle
like in the
name.
US,
Like
but they
in the
have two
US, they
last
don't have a
names.
two
Their
last names.
first last
The
name is
first
their
last
father's
name
last
is
name,
their
and their second
father's
last
last
name is
name.
their
Is
mother's last name.
second.
So in
So
general,
in
Mexican
general,
names are
Mexican names
longer than
are longer
American
than
names
American
or
names
names in
for
other
names in the
countries.
other
When
countries.
people get
When
married
people
in
get married
Mexico, the
in the
wife
Mexico,
doesn't change
the
her
wife
last name
doesn't
like in
change
the
her last
US.
name like
She
in
keeps
US.
both of her last
She gives
names.
both
And
to
then
her
if they have
names.
children, their
And then
children
if
take
they
their
have
father's
children,
first last
their
name and their
children
mother's first
take
last
their
name.
father
These
first
two
name.
names become their
These
two
two names
last
become
names.
their two
So,
last
as you can
names.
see, the
So as
naming
you can see,
customs
the
are
name
pretty
and
different in these
customs
two
can pretty
countries.
different
And in other countries
countries.
around the
In the
world, the
countries
naming
around the world,
customs
the
might
naming
be
customs
completely
will
different
be
from
completely
Mexico or
different
the US.
from Mexico
Now,
or
let's
the
talk a
US.
little bit
Let's
about
talk about a bit about
nicknames. These are
nicknames.
names that people
These are
call
names
other
that people
people that
call
aren't their
other
real
people that
names.
aren't
There
their
are
real
certain
names.
names in
There are
different
some names
languages
in
that have
different
an
languages
accompanying
that have
nickname.
a
For
company
example,
name.
in
For
English,
example, in
people
English,
named
word
Robert might
named
be called
Robert,
Bob sometimes.
maybe called
And people
Bob,
named
and people
Matthew
named
might be
Matthew,
called Matt,
maybe
and people
called
named William
Math,
might be called
Matt.
Bill. These are
These are
nicknames that are
nicknames. They
automatically
are automatically
associated with these names.
associated.
However, many
However,
people
many
give
people
more
give
personal
more
nicknames
personal
to their friends
nicknames
or
to
family
their
members.
nicknames,
And when people
and
call
people
you
call
by your
you by
nickname,
your
it's often a
nicknames.
sign
Is
that these
often
people
a
are
sign
close
that
with you.
people
They feel more
that you
comfortable
more
with you,
comfortable
and
with you,
so they
so
feel
they
like
feel
they can
like they
call you
can
by your
call you
nickname.
by your
I think
nickname.
this is the
I think
case
this is
in
the
most
case
countries.
in most
I had a
countries.
couple different
I had
nicknames
a
when I was
couple
young, and I
different
called some
exam
of my
when I was
friends by
young
their
and called by
nicknames.
my
How
friends.
about you?
How
Do
about
you
you?
have a
Do you
nickname?
have a
Okay, that's
nickname?
all for
Okay,
today.
that's for
Remember to
today.
download the
Remember to
Listening Time
listen to
podcast
podcast
and become a
and
member
become a
at
member at
patreon.com/listeningtime to
patreon.com/listening
receive my
to receive my
specialized training,
special
which will help
training
you
which will help
understand
you
native
understand
speakers.
native
And
speaker.
if you want to
And
reach
if you
an
want to
advanced
join the
level of
advanced
listening, then become a
level
Listening
and
Time
become
family
a
member to
listening
receive
time
my
family
advanced
members to
podcast.
see my
Also,
advanced
subscribe
podcast.
to the
Also,
channel,
to
click on the
subscribe the channel,
bell,
click on
and
the
follow
bell,
us on
and follow us on
Instagram. I'll
Instagram.
see you next
I'll
time.
see you next time.
Hey everybody,
Hi
welcome to
everybody,
this
welcome to this
A2 English
A2
listening
English
practice
lesson
video.
practice
You
video.
can use
You
this
can
video
use
to
this video
practice
to
your
practice your listening
comprehension
and
as I
comprehension
speak.
as I speak.
Before we
Before we
start,
start,
remember to download the
remember to
Listening
download the
Time
Listen Time
podcast, and if you
podcast,
want my
and if you want my
specialized training to
specialized
help you
training and help
understand
you
native
to
speakers,
understand as
then
native
become a
speaker,
Listening Time member.
become.
And if you want
And
my
if you
advanced
want to
podcast
advance podcast
episodes, then
episode,
become a
you
Listening
can
Time
become.
family member. Okay, today
Okay,
we're going to talk
today
about
we'll talk about
names.
names.
This is a
This
fun
is a
topic
fun
to talk
topic to talk about,
especially
especially
with
with
people
people
from different
from
countries.
different
There are
countries.
many
There are
different
many
types of
different types
naming
of
customs
names,
around the
customs
world.
around the world.
So let's
So
talk a
let's
little
talk
bit
about a little bit
names
about
in the
names in
US.
the US.
Americans
Americans usually have a three names,
which
which
we
we
call
call
first
first
name,
name,
middle
middle
name,
name, and last
when
names.
people get
And
married,
we
a
get
wife
married, the
usually
wife
takes her
usually
husband's
takes
last name,
her
and then if they
husband's
have
last
kids,
name,
their
and
children
then they
take the
have
father's
children.
last name.
Their children
One
take.
thing that I
One
want
thing
to
I want
note
to
is that there are
note is
tons and
that there
tons
are
of
tons
different names
and
in
tons
the
of
US.
different names in the
Obviously,
US.
every country has
Obviously,
a wide variety of names,
has a wide
but it seems
variety,
like in the US there are even more names.
variety.
Of course, there are
Of
many
course, there are
traditional
many
names that have
traditional
been
names
used in
that
English for many
have been
centuries,
used in
and
English,
there are
and
many
there are many
biblical names that
people.
people give their children. But there are many traditional names that have been used in
Okay, so I
English for
think,
many centuries, and there are many biblical names that people
biblical name. We need to check this biblical name.
biblical, 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 biblical,
Biblical.
biblical,
Okay. Biblical. Biblical. Biblical.
biblical, biblical,
Biblical. Biblical.
biblical, biblical,
Biblical.
biblical, 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 biblical,
Biblical. 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 Right? We have biblical. 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 Connected with the Bible. In the Bible. Bible.
Bible,
Bible. The holy book of the Christian religion, consisting of the Old Testament and the New Testament. I have no idea about biblical, right? Did you know that? We have. Okay, so can you explain the biblical for me? If that describes something related to Bible, like stories, names, or principles. Okay, so we have biblical, right? Biblical refers to anything relating to or contained in or in accordance to with Bible. I have no idea about this. So, in Vietnamese, what does it mean? Okay, but I guess it is now. Oh, my bad. It should be biblical.
biblical, biblical,
Okay, biblical, biblical, or biblical. Biblical.
biblical,
Okay, let me check the pronunciation.
biblical, 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 biblical,
Biblical, right? Biblical, 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 biblical. We have biblical, or we can check the for biblical, biblical, biblical,
biblical, biblical, biblical exegete, biblical exegete,
Biblical Exodus, Biblical Exodus, Biblical Exodus,
biblical,
Biblical Exodus, Biblical Exodus,
Exodus, Exodus, Exodus,
Exodus,
Exodus, Exodus,
Exodus,
Exodus,
Exodus,
Exodus, or Exodus,
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 Exodus, Exodus,
Exodus, Exodus, or Exodus.
Exodus, Exodus,
Okay, I guess it is Exodus. And we have a biblical Exodus. What does this mean? No, I want to know the meaning of the phrase biblical Exodus. Okay, anyway. Okay, we need to. Okay. Exodus, Exodus,
Exodus, Exodus,
Exodus. A situation in which many people leave a place at the same time. The mass exodus from Paris to the country in the summer. Okay, so come back to our okay, I think we need to focus on the biblical names that people give their children.
Give their children. But there are many biblical names that used
Biblical.
in English for many centuries, and there are many biblical names used in English for many centuries, and there are many biblical names that people give
And there are
their
biblical
children.
names,
But there are
also many
non-traditional
names that people give their children. These names might come from other languages, or they might become variations of
or they
variation.
Variation.
Yes, this is variation.
languages,
Of
or they might be
existing
variations of existing names,
Of existing
or they
name,
might
or
be
they
names
might
that
be
the parents
names that
invented. Parents can get
Parents
very
can
creative
get very
with children's
creative
names
with their
nowadays.
children's name
Let me
nowadays.
talk a little
Let me
bit
talk a
about
little bit
naming
about
customs
naming
in Mexico.
customs custom or custom,
Custom. Custom. Custom.
custom, custom.
Custom. Custom.
Okay, we have custom. Why not custom?
Custom. Custom. Custom.
We have custom, but we can custom.
Custom. Custom. Custom. Custom.
Custom,
Custom.
custom,
Custom.
Custom. Custom.
Custom. Custom. Custom. Custom.
Custom.
custom,
Custom. Custom. Custom.
custom,
Custom.
custom, custom.
Custom.
Okay. Custom. Okay, so I think that come back to customs in Mexico, where I live.
Here,
Here, people have a first and a middle name, like in the US, but have two last names. Their first last name is their father's last name, and their second last name is their mother's last name. So, in general, Mexican names are longer than Mexican names or names in the other countries. When people get married in Mexico, the wife doesn't change their last name, like in US, it gives both of her last names, and then if they have a children, their children take their
mother's
father's first last name and their mother's first last name.
These two names
become their two last names.
So, as you can see,
naming customs are very pretty.
And in other countries around the world, the naming customs might be completely different from Mexico or the US.
Different from Mexico or US.
So
let's talk about a little bit about
These are
nicknames.
names that
These
people
names,
call other people
these are names
aren't
that
their
people
real
call other
names.
people.
There are certain
names in different languages that have
for example,
certain
names in different languages that have an accompanying nickname. There are certain names in different languages that have an accompanying nickname. There are certain names in different languages that have an accompanying nickname.
Accompanying.
Accompanying. Accompanying. Accompanying. Accompanying.
Accompanying.
Accompanying. Accompanying. Accompanying.
Accompanying. Accompanying. Accompanying. Okay. Accompanying. Accompanying.
There are certain names in different languages that have an accompanying nickname. For example, in English, people named Robert might be called Bob sometimes.
Might be called
and people
Bob.
named
And
Matthew might be called Matt. And people named William might be called Bill. These are nicknames that are automatically associated with these names. However, many people give more personal nicknames to their friends or family members. And when people call you by your nickname, it's often a sign that these people are close with you. They feel more comfortable with you, and so they feel like they can call you by your nickname. I think this is the case in most countries.
I think this is the
I had a couple different nicknames when I was young, and I called some of my friends by their nicknames. How about you? Do you have a nickname? Okay, that's all for today. Remember to download the Listening Time podcast.
Why we need to this time, because this video is quite hard for me at this time, so I prefer we practice sharing step by step. I mean, we will pause the video and try to say it one more time.
Okay, today we're going to talk about names. This is a fun topic to talk about,
especially with people from different countries.
There are many different types of
naming customs.
So
customs.
There are many different types of naming customs around from different countries. There are many different types of naming customs around the world. So let's talk a little bit about names in the US. Americans usually have three names, which we call the first name, middle name, and last name. When people get married, the wife usually takes her husband's last name. And when people get married, the wife usually takes her husband's last name. When people get married, the wife usually takes her husband's last name.
When people get married, the wife usually takes her husband's last name.
And then if they have kids, their children take the father's last name.
Take their father's last name.
One thing that I want to note is that there are tons and tons of different names in the US. Obviously, every country has a wide
variety. Variety, right?
Variety.
Yeah, we have a variety. Obviously, every country has a wide variety of names, but it seems like in the US there are even more names.
But it seems like in the US there are even more names.
Okay. Obviously, many countries has a wide variety of names, but it seems like in the US there are even more names.
But it seems like in the US there are even more names. Of course, there are many traditional names that have been used in English for many centuries, and there are many biblical names that people give their children.
Biblical name, biblical. And there are many biblical names that people give their children.
But there are also many non-traditional names that people give their children. These names might come from other languages, or they might be variations of existing names, or they might be names.
Variation. Variation, right?
Variation.
Or they might be names that the parents invented.
Parents can get very creative with children's names. Let me talk a little bit about naming customs in Mexico,
where I live.
Here, people have a first and a middle name, like in the US, but they have two last names. Their first last name is their father's last name, and their second last name is their mother's last name. So in general, Mexican names are longer than American names or names in other countries. When people get married in Mexico, the wife doesn't change their last name like in the US. She keeps both of her last names. If they have children, their children take their children take their father's last name. These two names become their two last names.
So as you can see, the naming customs are pretty different in these two countries.
And in other countries around the world, the naming customs might be completely different from Mexico or the US. Now, let's talk a little bit about nicknames.
Let's talk about
These are names that people call other people that aren't their real names. There are certain names in different languages that have an accompanying nickname. For example,
accompanying. Why? Accompanying.
Accompanying.
accompanying, provided something else. Exhibition also wrote accompanying catalog log.
In English, people named Robert might be called Bob sometimes. And people named Matthew might be called Matt, and people named William might be called Bill. These are nicknames that are automatically associated with these names.
Automatically. Okay, I see.
However, many people give more personal nicknames to their friends or family members. And when people call you by your nickname, it's often a sign that these people are close with you. They feel more comfortable with you, and so they feel like they can call you by your nickname. I think this is the case in most countries. I had a couple different nicknames when I was young, and I called some of my friends by their nicknames. How about you? Do you have a nickname? Okay, that's all for today. Remember to download the Listening Time podcast and become a member at patreon.com/listeningtime to receive my specialized training, which will help you understand native speakers. And if you want to reach an advanced level of listening, then become a Listening Time family member to receive my advanced podcast. Also, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell, and follow us on Instagram. I'll see you next time.
Okay, so we need to stop here.